Join me as I dive into 3 reasons why you might feel lonely even when you have Jesus in your life. Loneliness can be a really surprising feeling as a Christian. You're supposed to have Jesus. You're supposed to have a community of believers. You're supposed to feel connected to God, and yet you still feel this deep sense of loneliness. It's like, what's going on here? I think it's really important to acknowledge that feeling lonely as a believer is a pretty common experience. We tend to put on a mask and pretend like everything is okay. But the truth is, many of us struggle with feeling of loneliness and disconnected. And you're not alone in this feeling. In fact, over the years, I've spoken to Christians who have expressed feelings of loneliness and isolated, even when they're surrounded by a community of believers. It's like they're going to church, they're participating in small groups, they're doing all the right things, but they still feel this deep sense of loneliness. So, in this video, I want to explore some of the reasons why you might be feeling lonely even when you have Jesus in your life. What are some of the underlying factors? One of the reasons we might feel lonely as a believer is because we're misunderstanding what community is supposed to look like. We think that just because we're going to church, just because we're surrounded by people, people, come on, guys, that we're supposed to automatically be going to feel connected and loved. And that's not always the case. But the truth is, community is so much more than just showing up to a Sunday service or Wednesday night Bible study. It's easy to get caught up in the superficial aspects of community and forget that the true connection requires vulnerability, intimacy, and a deep level of trust. We need to be willing to take off the mask and be real with each other if we want to experience true community. Another reason we might feel lonely is because of personal struggles with our faith. Maybe we're going through a tough time and we're feeling like God is distant or uninvolved. Maybe we're struggling with the doubt of uncertainty and we don't know how to process those feelings. We need to remember that spiritual growth is not a linear process. There are going to be ups and downs, twists and turns, and sometimes in those dark moments that we feel the most alone. But it's in those moments that we need to lean into God, even when it feels like He's not there. Trust me, I've been there. The third reason we might feel lonely is because the nature of spiritual growth itself. Spiritual growth is a process of pruning and refining, and that can be really isolating experience. It's like God is calling us deeper, and believe it or not, I've been there before. But that means we have to let go of those old things that are holding us back. And sometimes we could be our own worst enemy. And sometimes that process can feel really lonely. We're leaving behind the old, familiar ways of doing things, and we're stepping into the new unknown territory. It can be really uncomfortable feeling, but it's in that discomfort that we're forced to rely more deeply on God and His Word. I think one of the most powerful insights we can take away from this conversation is that loneliness can actually be a catalyst for a deeper spiritual growth and connection with God. It's in those moments of loneliness that we're forced to lean into Him, to seek Him out, to cry out to Him, and maybe even a little bit of fasting and praying. And that's when we start to experience this deeper level of connection, this deeper level of intimacy with God. It's like we're getting into the root of our loneliness and we're finding that it's not all about the people around us, but it's all about our connection to God. So, to summarize, we experienced 3 reasons why you might still feel lonely, even when you have Jesus in your life: misunderstanding community, personal struggles with faith, and the nature of spiritual growth. I want to leave you with this thought: feeling lonely doesn't mean you're alone in your faith journey. It doesn't mean that God is not with you or that he's not working in your life. It just means that you're in a season of growth, and growth can be really, really, and I mean really, an uncomfortable process. Thanks for watching. And if you experience feeling loneliness as a believer, I would love to hear it in a comment section below. And if you want to learn more about building a stronger community in your faith, be sure to check out my next video.